The Ukrainian Leopard 2A6 has been lying dormant for 12 hours, blended into the dense bushes. Their objective is to cut off the enemy's logistics line. Through the thermal sight, the target appears. 2 Russian oil tankers are moving into the kill zone. The heat from the engines makes them glow brightly in the sight. This is the decisive moment. The Leopard opens fire. The 120mm shell rushes out and hits the lead truck. A massive fireball erupts. The pressure from the massive oil explosion is enough to toss the second truck right behind it. The whole convoy's Amona burns fiercely. The ambush mission has been completed perfectly. Alpha 1 immediately shifts into reverse, the engine roaring to execute shoot and scoot tactics, leaving the position before enemy artillery can respond. But they were wrong. They are not the only hunters in this forest. In the sky, a Russian reconnaissance drone is circling and has recorded the entire event. The Leopard's coordinates are immediately sent out. Having the position, 3 nearby Russian T-72B3 tanks receive orders to pursue. These tanks accelerate to maximum speed, determined to cut off the enemy's retreat route. From the position of the hunter, the Leopard has now officially become the prey. Just as the Leopard barely makes it out of the tree line to find a retreat route, the real nightmare strikes. From a distance of 800, the first T-72 is caught up. Seeing the enemy, the Russian gunner hastily fires while the vehicle hasn't even fully stopped. A wind-tearing screech rings out. The armor-piercing shell rushes forward, grazing the side of the Leopard's turret. Although not a direct hit, the terrible pressure of the supersonic projectile passing by causes the entire 60-ton block of steel to shake violently. Inside, the crew reels. But the Russian soldier's mistake was firing too hastily when the gun barrel wasn't stable, and they don't get a second chance. Inside the shaking cabin, the Leopard gunner quickly regains composure. The loader shouts loudly, signaling the armor-piercing round is in the chamber. The computer system quickly locks on to the moving target. Fire! The sabot round rushes out. It pierces the front armor of the T-72 like a sheet of paper. Immediately, the jack-in-the-box effect occurs. The ammunition depot inside explodes, tossing the T-72's turret into the sky. The first threat is eliminated. The joy of victory hasn't even settled yet. The second T-72, wiser, took advantage of the moment its teammate drew fire to flank and launch a sneak attack. The shell didn't penetrate the Leopard's thick armor, but it completely destroyed one track. The Ukrainian tank halts. The engine still roars, but the vehicle can only spin in place. The situation becomes extremely dangerous. The second T-72 backs off to keep distance, continuously firing high-explosive fragmentation G shells at the Leopard's armor, making the space inside the vehicle suffocating and terrifying. The crew immediately launches smoke grenades to blind the enemy. But they know that despite the hard armor, given this situation, it is only a matter of time before they are destroyed. The third T-72 also takes advantage of that, trying to move to the rear of the Leopard to fire a finishing shot at its weakest point located at the back, just at the most desperate moment. From a hillside 900 meters away, an M1 Abrams from a Ukrainian unit appears. The third T-72 is busy moving around to the back of the wounded prey, without realizing the new threat. The Abrams gunner has locked the target. Fire! The round rushes out and hits the flank of the T-72, piercing straight into the engine compartment. The Russian tank, just one step away from being able to finish off the Leopard, burns fiercely and explodes. Reinforcements arrived just in time, taking advantage of this. The Leopard crew rallies their spirit. Although unable to move, their turret still functions well. They rotate the gun barrel toward the last T-72, which is confused between the two pincers. A precise shot, the last Russian tank is destroyed, right before it can figure out what is happening. The area has been cleared. As black columns of smoke begin to rise high from the wreckage of the T-72s, the Kremyana battlefield sinks into a heavy silence. The smell of gunpowder and burnt diesel overwhelms the cold air of the forest. This is the moment the truth is laid most bare. The outcome of this battle was not just decided by the soldiers' reflexes in a few short seconds, but it was decided decades ago on design blueprints at Uralvagonzavod and Krauss-Maffei-Wegmann. What we see today is a brutal collision between two completely opposite military philosophies. One side values quantity and overwhelming force. The other values human life and precision. The image of the T-72 turret being tossed into the sky, a haunting but familiar sight on the Ukrainian battlefield, is not a coincidence. It is the consequence of a cold trade-off. During the Cold War era, Soviet engineers were obsessed with creating tanks that were low profile, hard to hit, and easy to mass produce. To do that, they were forced to compress everything. The carousel-style automatic loading system was placed right under the vehicle floor, helping to reduce one crew member and lower the turret height. In theory, the vehicle would be harder to detect. But in actual combat, it turns the crew into sitting right on top of a giant powder keg. When the armor is penetrated by a modern kinetic energy penetrator, the terrible friction heat will detonate the entire ammunition load inside. No partitions, no blowout panels. Extreme pressure will blow the 12-ton turret into the sky. The tank becomes an immediate mass grave. That is the price of the expendable weapon mindset, where the vehicle is prioritized over the soldier's life. On the contrary, the Leopard, 2A6 and M1 Abrams represent Western military thinking. Humans are the most valuable asset. Irreplaceable. They accept a larger, heavier, more visible vehicle in exchange for survival space. The ammunition depot is pushed to the back of the turret, completely isolated from the crew by blast-proof steel doors. This difference doesn't help the vehicle shoot harder, but it brings the most important thing in war: a second chance. The Leopard crew, even if the vehicle is heavily damaged, can still survive to retreat and return to fight in another vehicle. As for the T-72 crew, the first mistake is also the last mistake. But protection technology only takes effect when you have already been hit. To win, you must hit first. The situation where the first T-72 fired hastily and missed the target at a distance of 800 meters shows a deadly lag in the fire control system. On rough terrain, the gun barrels of older vehicle models shake violently with the movement of the hull. Russian gunners are forced to wait for the vehicle to stabilize or accept shooting on a prayer. The Leopard 2A6 does not need that luck. Its three-axis gyroscopic stabilization system acts like an artificial vestibular system, keeping the gun barrel always locked onto the target, regardless of how the hull is swaying. The ballistic computer calculates wind speed, temperature, barrel wear, and target speed in milliseconds. When the gunner pulls the trigger, the shell doesn't just fly out, it is programmed to hit the mark. In modern tank warfare, whoever turns the chaos of the battlefield into the stillness of the crosshair, that person wins. And finally, the bloodiest lesson today lies in tactics. A solitary main battle tank, no matter how modern, is just a wounded beast waiting to die. When the Leopard had its track broken, it lost its greatest advantage. The appearance of the Abrams was not cinematic magic. It was the result of coordinated fire nets. Modern war is no longer duels of armored knights. It is a war of information and connectivity. The Abrams did not rush into the kill zone blindly. It took advantage of the moment the enemy focused on the wounded prey to approach the blind spot. One attracts fire, the other delivers the finishing blow. 3 T-72s were destroyed not just because their technology was inferior. They lost because they were fighting a modern war with the solitary mindset of the last century. On this battlefield, there is no place for lone wolves. Disciplined coordination between teammates is the thickest armor protecting the soldier. When the smoke clears and night falls, what remains on the Kremiana battlefield is a cold reminder. The bravery of the soldier is priceless. But it is technology and tactics that bring them home.